lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
After a four-wide slugfest last week in the Indy cars that gave us the closest finish in iRacing East history, we return to the scene of the crime in the next-gen cars for round number 6 of the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway Series. Tony Trapasso up in the booth with you for this one. And from what I'm seeing in practice times, teamwork is going to be key tonight, as it always is whenever we come to the Big Daddy that is Talladega. Take a quick look at our point standings coming into tonight. Marcus Adams sitting atop the pile with 19 points to the good over James Lowe. Chris Worrell, James Lowe, Chris Worrell, Michael Anthony, and Tim Henderson rounding out your top 5. Jason Papp drops 1 spot down to 6th. Brandon Wilson climbs 2 spots up to 7th. Greg McConey drops 1 to 8th. Joe Gautier drops 2 to 9th. And John LeBombard gets into the top 10 for the first time this season. Good to see John up there. Nick Wing, Shane Posey, Brian Chu, Ed DeBoer, and Ryan Harrison rounding out your top 15. And then it gets a little tighter, back down just outside of that cutoff for the playoffs. We are only in round number 6, so that's the good news. The bad news is there's a lot of guys on the outside still looking in. Taking a quick look at live timing and scoring, Chris Worrell sits atop the pile there. Lowe, Peters, DeBoer, and Wing, your top 5 as they currently sit. Drafting practice currently going on right now. About 2 minutes left here in the practice session. If you haven't done so already, give this video a thumbs up. Let us know you really enjoy what you're seeing here at Talladega and in the iRacing East Superspeedway Series. It's our pleasure to bring this to you, and it has been our pleasure to bring this to you for the past couple of years. And a long partnership with the iRacing East Series that we are proud to present here on Sim Racing Media. Taking a quick look at what's coming up on the channel. Sunday, we've got the doubleheader at Vegas, kicking off at 4:50 Eastern Time with the ISNF Cup Series, and the nightcap, Sunday Night NASCAR, they go to Vegas at 8:20 Eastern Time, and then we kick off Monday with the Elite ARCA Series as they go to the Milwaukee Mile at 8:40 Eastern Time. So if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single moment of action here on the channel. As I believe we're going to have a quadruple header on Tuesday. Let me double check my facts on that. Yes, we are. And it's going to kick off. That's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. That is going to kick off actually at 11:50 Eastern Time with the Midday Racing League as they bring their Xfinity Series to round number 3 at Iowa. The AARL Trucker Speed America Cup Series is going to fire off at 8:20 Eastern Time. The Rickmatech Cup Series, round number 14 at Charlotte, that's an 8:40 Eastern Time start on that one. The Monster Energy NASCAR Series goes to round number race number 2 of the round of 12 in their playoffs. They go to Phoenix for that one. And the nightcap of the quintuple header, Western States Racing League, as they go to round 14 at New Hampshire as part of season number 47. And we are proud to have that long-running league here on Sim Racing Media. As qualifying getting ready to kick on off here. Qualifying just about coming to a close. Couple seconds left. And boom goes the dynamite. So as we kick things over to the qualifying session, cloud cover on the track right now. Let's take a quick look at our weather conditions coming into tonight. 78-degree ambient air temperature, 46% water grain in the air, which means these carbureted small blocks are going to be making gobs of horsepower here tonight. 8-mile-an-hour winds are to be a little bit concerning, especially considering that it's a crosswind coming out of turns 2 and coming out of turn 4. These guys are really going to have to be careful in the draft. 99-degree track temperature, not the worst we've seen, but not the best we've seen. As Joe Gatia, Ed DeBoer, Chris Worrell, and Shane Posey all out on track. Looks like Worrell going to be one of the first ones to take the green here. There we see him in the QVC number 7. The hell? Sorry, folks. Trading Paint's not playing nicely with me tonight. Let's refresh those paints and watch every car go white on the track. There he is in the Balls Garana number 6. That's what we were expecting to see on Worrell's ride tonight. Joe Gautier coming down to take the green as well in a plain black wrapper. I see Shane Posey getting ready to take the green in that bright chrome-colored car. I'm liking it. Really digging that. As Matt Swope goes purple in the first sector. Let's see what Worrell's going to do as he's coming down the back straightaway on lap 1. And I have to say, I'm not normally a fan of ginger-flavored beverages, but that Balls Energy ginger, it does have a very nice flavor to it. It almost reminds me of Werner's ginger ale, if any of you have heard me discuss that in the past. Worrell right down on the apron, trying to get the shortest way around. One and done for qualifying. Worrell 53.74. Let's see what Gautier is going to post 53.65. Gautier jumps up to the top of the pile. Shane Posey immediately bumps Gautier off. So the two teammates going to start next to each other right now. As Ed DeBoer coming across to finish his first flyer in the 24. There he is. Going to slot into fourth quick. Michael Anthony, who stole it last week. What a frickin' run he had. Brad Peters jumping up to fourth quick. Zishan Dura back with the lead. There is Zishan in the 17. James Lowe getting ready to finish his first qualifying lap. As he is right down on the apron as well in that SimCube Chevy. That's going to slot him into fourth quick. Greg McConey also out on track. Mark McFadden, winner 2 weeks ago, as he's making his return to the league this season. Good to have him back in that G Fuel Ford. Coming through the 3-4 complex right now with a good head of steam. Marcus Adams, your defending series champion and current points leader, out on track as well. Last week's winner, Michael Anthony, there he is. Coming down to finish his first flyer. First lap for Anthony. Third quick. As Mark McFadden jumps up to 8th. As Brian Chu goes third quick. Good run for him. Let's see what Marcus Adams is going to do here in his Ford. Across the line, fourth quick. As there's Greg McConey in the Roush 12 here tonight. Nick Wing also out on track, as is Tim Henderson. Still waiting on Brad Mashburn, Jason Papp, and Brandon Wilson and John LeBombard to lay times, or at least make an attempt. As right now we are seeing McConey drifted a little wide coming off of 4. Not sure how that's going to affect him. Right down on the mustard line, coming through the trial. A good head of steam for McConey. Where's this going to put him? Fifth quick. As Nick Wing jumps up to 12th. Tim Henderson getting ready to take the green in that breast cancer awareness Toyota. Of course, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it has affected this league immensely, as one of our very own, Brian Tarnowski, unfortunately lost his wife to her battle with breast cancer. And I know Brian would agree with me when I say that the best way to combat that is get tested early and get tested often. As we now go to the starting grid for tonight, Shane Posey and Joe Gautier going to be starting up on the front row. Brian Chu and defending series champion Marcus Adams make up row number 2. Perennial favorite Greg McConey and Michael Anthony, another perennial favorite, going to be starting in row number 3. Matt Swope, the rookie, is going to be joined by the veteran James Lowe in row number 4. Brad Peters and Chris Worrell in row 5. Mark McFadden and Nick Wing going to start it off in row number 6. Row 7 is going to go to Ed DeBoer and Zishan Dura in his return to the league. Brandon Wilson and Timmy Henderson going to roll it off in row number 8. Row 9 is going to go to Jason Papp and John LeBombard, with Brad Mashburn starting shotgun on the field. 19 cars scheduled to roll off here tonight. 4 sets of tires to get it done with, I believe it's a 70% fuel fill in these cars. And as we're just waiting for a couple stragglers to grid up. Again, want to thank everybody for making us a part of your Friday evening. Thank you so much. It's our pleasure to bring the action of the iRacing East Superspeedway Series to you. If you haven't done so already, please hit the video a thumbs up, because it really does help share these videos around the YouTube algorithm. The more thumbs up a video gets, the more likely it is to show up when someone logs into their YouTube account. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single moment of action here on Sim Racing Media. You can also find us on simracingmedia.com and on our Twitter handle, which you can find right there at the bottom, is we're checking out with Shane Posey in Ocala, Georgia, at Sim Racing Media 1 on the Twitterverse. Looks like we've got everybody in the field lined up. Pace car should be starting to roll here momentarily, as 90 laps the scheduled distance here tonight at Talladega, round number 6 of the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway Series. Posey and Gautier going to bring us down to green, the two teammates, longtime runners here in the iRacing East Series. And, you know, folks, if you're new to the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway Series, this is not like watching Carb Cup. For those of you who are familiar with the iRacing servers, this is not Carb Cup or 24 Hours of Fun. These guys take this pretty serious. You know, and everybody really tries to hone their craft. You're going to see some aggressive moves, but they're going to be calculated aggressive. You know, these guys in this league know exactly what they're doing on a Superspeedway series, and a lot of them have been running for multiple years together. As Brian Chu running the Praise for Florida Toyota tonight, as Brian's family from the Fort Myers area, that was right dead center of that Category 5 that touched down a couple weeks ago, as they are still trying to recover from that. So if you want to help Florida right now, the best thing you can really do is go to your local Red Cross and donate. Blood and plasma needed right now for those who are affected by that storm. And if you haven't done so already, the other thing you can do is go to your local hardware store and have them send pool cleaning supplies. Not for pools, folks. It's to help clean the mold out of houses after the storm has gone through. You'd be surprised how much pool shocking treatment really can clean walls in an affected area. As the pace car makes the left turn, the lazy left turn down below the mustard line, Posey has the button. Geico restart zone is in effect. The only thing that's left for me to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn because it's time to get it on in Talladega. Race fans, it's show time! Posey drops the hammer. Chu goes with him. McConey right there as well, as that bottom lane very organized. We've got a stack up as something's going on. Somebody missed a shift. Michael Anthony missed a shift and completely stacked up that outside lane as he got to the back very quickly. He's got the 07 of Brad Mashburn. That could have ended very poorly. As, you know, we're going to go back and take a look at that start. Here they are. Keep your eye on the 8. Third car in line. Oh, that's what happened. It's kind of an accordion effect as Anthony, again, missed a shift, not able to get back up to speed, as we are now back live. As currently Greg McConey shows the way. Coming through the tri-oval, leading lap 1. Brad Peters right on his back bumper. McConey, Peters, Posey, Chu, and Swope, your top 5 as we currently sit. Mark McFadden with a good head of steam now, trying to reel in that top 5. As Posey, the only one caught on the outside lane. No room at the end below him either. So Posey, your pole sitter, gets shuffled back and shuffled back quickly. As we're going to check back and a little bit deeper in the field is Brandon Wilson in the 501, Jason Papp and Chris Worrell all working together in that second lane as Posey finally finds a hole down on the bottom side, tries to draft back up. He's got friendly fire in front of him with Mark McFadden right there. Brandon Wilson leading that charge. I'm digging the orange paint on that. Black Rifle Coffee Company, number 501. His teammate for Dudes Racing, Greg McConey, currently shows the way at the front of this piece. Brad Peters, Brian Chu, Matt Swope, Brandon Wilson now into the top 5 as they're still working that outside lane. The outside lane's starting to get a little more organized. Chu considering coming up, just trying to get some clean air to that radiator. on that Toyota Camry. Checking back here, defending series champion Marcus Adams. Looks like he's getting ready to hook up with James Lowe, and if those two get hooked up together, watch this march to the front, folks. 67 Acujo bails out, goes up to the top side. The next person that texts me while I'm broadcasting is going to get a punch in the throat. Greg McConey continuing to show the way. Posey, Pap, Gautier, and Adams all in a slugfest right now as they're almost 3 wide. Zishan Dura making it happen on the low side as Worrell and Pap lined up on that middle lane. Adams and Lowe trying to get it wound up on the top side. Now Pap, the meat and the sandwich, are in the sucker hole as they sometimes call it here. They're 3 wide in front of them as well as Brandon Wilson and Shane Posey were trying to make something happen. So McConey, Peters, Chu, Swope, Wilson, your top 5. As the 48 of Mark McFadden drifts back just a little bit on that low side, looking to try to get a run. The only problem is there's no holes to go through. The 17 of Zishan Dura catches the apron, collects it very quickly, as Marcus Adams all over his back bumper right now. Brian Chu jumps up in front to get the push from Brandon Wilson, as Worrell bails out. Lowe goes with him. Pap still up there on the 3rd lane. 3 wide here at Talladega. Expect this often. We saw it all night last week in the IndyCars. A little bit more sketchy here in the full fendered stuff as these guys don't have the same downforce. Chu with a nose out front coming to the stripe. As Chu going to lead the first laps here tonight as he jumps up, picks up his Sunday teammate Chris Worrell, and they set sail to try to get to the front of this field quickly. Chu, Worrell, and McConey, your top 3, as here comes Wilson in that middle lane with Posey on his back bumper. James Lowe right there as well as, wow, Chris Worrell glued to the back bumper of Brian Chu. I know those guys are looking very forward to the next Superspeedway race for the ISNF Cup Series on Sundays, as this is exactly what we're going to see there as well. Those two working well together as soon as they can find each other. Top lane, single file, 5 deep right now. Ed DeBoer, the caboose in that little freight train, as Greg McConey jumps up to try to latch on. James Lowe peeks out to try to get some clean air to his radiator right now. And you're seeing that second lane really start to pull away, because if you're on the bottom side, these cars, for some reason, more than the straight axle cars, these next-gen cars really seem to bog on the low side here at Talladega and Daytona. That second lane is where you can really let the car run and really let the engine eat, if you will. And as Chu and Worrell right now running stem to stern, we are going to go on board with Chu. And so we're going to go on board with Worrell for a lap. Ed DeBoer making a run on the low side. He's got McConey for help, as well as Marcus Adams. And Brad Peters. Shane Posey looking to make a third lane. He's got Gautier glued with him. And this is exactly what we're going to see most of this night, folks. You're going to have to get teamed up with somebody. Pick a partner and ride. Jason Papp, the caboose in the freight train on the top south. As Brennan Wilson down on the low side. And then you're over 4 seconds back to this second little grouping here that contains Jisan Dura, Matt Swope, and Mark McFadden. And then we're another 9 seconds back to this group that contains Nick Wing, John LeBombard, and Tim Wilson. And Michael Anthony and Brad Mashburn way back in the pack as they're about half a lap down to the leaders. Ed DeBoer still leads that top shelf as McConey with him up there. You know you're in safe hands if you got the 12 behind you, as McConey, one of the best pushers in the sim. I know he's one of only about 3 guys I would trust back there. The other 2 are both in this race as well, as the 6 of Chris Worrell and the 1 of Jason Papp. 3 of the best pushers, and they're all in this league. Ed DeBoer, Greg McConey, Marcus Adams, Brian Chu, Brad Peters, Chris Worrell, James Lowe, Jason Papp, Shane Posey, and Joe Gautier, your top 10, as they run stem to stern right now, single file. Well, except for Posey and Gautier. As those 2 are down on the low side trying to make something happen. They're going to need some help as they're kind of ganged up on that top shelf. And it looks like Adams backing up to try to get a run here. Gautier goes up to the top side and hangs, Posey goes up to the top side. No, he just blinked. I'm sorry. Connection issues for the 83 of Posey. That top shelf still working quite effectively. And they are moving, folks. Last time by, 48-3 for Ed DeBoer and company. Currently working lap 15 of 90, about 10 laps away from green flag pit stops. And here we go. Marcus Adams leads the charge on the low side. Chu with him, as well as the 5 of Peters and the 6 of Worrell. Posey and Gautier down there with them, as here comes Lowe and Papp to try to go up through the middle. Tired of playing follow the leader, and they're trying to make something happen. From the penthouse to the outhouse goes Ed DeBoer, and to the penthouse goes Marcus Adams. And you know what? Let's go on board. There we are. We are on board with Brian Chu looking forward. And boop. Pushing there on Marcus Adams. This camera right above the splitter on the front of these cars, and you can see the independent suspension. You can see the tunnels for the diffuser at the back. We talked about it before, but those things hanging in between the tires, that's really what generate the downforce on these next-gen cars. They don't really have a spoiler to speak of. It's all generated. I mean, you can see a spoiler, but that's only because this is the Superspeedway package. As they are running a big wing here with the plexiglass on there at the top, so you can actually see the driver in front of you. But that's how they generate the downforce, is all underbody, which is why a lot of drivers are having so much trouble if they get these cars sideways trying to catch them. Because once you disrupt the air going over that diffuser in the back, you've lost all of your downforce. Think of it like hanging a cement bag underneath the rear bumper of your car in the wintertime. You put that there for traction. You take those out in the winter, you're going nowhere in the snow. And that's really what that diffuser does, is it creates that pressure to really suck the car into the track. As right now, Worrell and Lowe hooked up. And we've got a breakaway starting here. Not sure exactly what happened to McConey and company. There he is with Brian Chu and Ed DeBoer. Something happened. And I don't know what, but something had to have happened. Checking back in with this front group. Throw a blanket over your top 8 right now, folks. As you've got Worrell, Lowe, Papp, and Posey running stem to stern there on the low side. Gautier is a couple of cars back. And everybody's starting to get single filed out. That's usually the tattletale. That green flag pit stops are imminent. Everybody getting down to that low side. Nobody wants to be caught on the top shelf. With the fuel fill here tonight, we're looking probably 25 laps is about all you're going to be able to get out of a tank and go fast. And tire wear, luckily, pretty negligible here at Talladega as it is at Daytona. So I'm actually expecting most of these guys to not take tires for most of the race. Maybe at the halfway mark we might see tires. But Worrell, Lowe, Papp, Posey, Gautier, Wilson, Adams, Peters, your top 8 as they run stem to stern. Then you're almost 4 full seconds back to that second group that consists of Brian Chu, Greg McConey, and Ed DeBoer as they are trying to reel that front group back in. And for some reason, they're not actually making it happen. Normally, 3 cars are about as fast as you can get going here. Now they've got it organized. They're starting to pick some pace up. And they're now down under 4 seconds. So they are starting to reel that front group in. And that's probably why, is some of that front group just got very unorganized. James Lowe now shows the way in the Sim Cube Chevy Camaro. Lowe and Papp running stem to stern right now at the front of this piece. James Lowe and Jason Papp, both in Chevys. The Toyota of Shane Posey. 3 more Chevys consisting of Joe Gautier, Brad Peters, and Brandon Wilson. The highest running Ford right now is in 7th with your defending series champion Marcus Adams, as he has Chris Worrell back there with him. Working lap 22 of 90 here from Talladega, round number 6 of the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway Series. Thank you so much for making Sim Racing Media part of your Friday evening. We are proud to bring this to you in our 3rd year with the Circle B Diecast crew. It has been a pleasure to bring these guys to the masses every race so far. Again, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm and sharing these videos around. Checking in, Miss Vicky, checking in with us, saying good luck, Jason. Aunt Mary, always good to have you with us. 80% fuel fill tonight, so we're looking about 25 to 30 laps out of a tank. But Miss Vicky, I hope you're as excited as I am with Miami just around the corner, and we're supposed to be meeting up there, the Sim Racing Media crew, to meet Miss Vicky Copeland. So happy to have that happen. It's always nice whenever we can, meet the fans at the tracks, and just kind of relax. Checking back in with that second group. They're starting to lose time again, as they've drifted back north of 4 seconds. Not cool at all. Marcus Adams and James Lowe go side by side for the lead going into turn number 1. There's 3 Balls Garana cars up on the top side for Balls Out Racing. It's Marcus Adams, Chris Worrell, and Mike Anthony all right there. Unfortunately, though, Anthony is the first car 1 or more laps down after missing a shift on the initial start and lost the draft. So as we are about to kick it off to green flag pit stops, we are going to go side by side and pay a couple bills. We'll be back right after this. And we are back at Talladega for part of the Superspeedway Diecast Superspeedway Series. Round number 6 as green flag pit stops are underway. Marcus Adams, Chris Worrell, and Jason Papp, the final ones to go down pit road. As right now, James Lowe and Brandon Wilson in the catbird seat, effective race lead, as they are already up to speed, as Worrell, Adams, and Papp all coming out of pit road. There they are. Just at the bottom of your screen there, you could see them down on the apron. There they are. Is Lowe and Wilson going to have the drive jump up ever so slightly? They're going to have to get organized again. As now it's a 5-car freight train at the front of this piece, and about to be deeper, as there is Joe Gautier, Cujo himself on the top side in the 67. He's got the Energizer Brad Peters there with him. He's going to slot in right in front of Jason Papp. Shane Posey up there as well. Then you're 5 seconds back to this little grouping here. I think it's just Brian Chu, Greg McConey, and Ed DeBoer. And for some odd reason, looks like everybody took 4 in fuel there instead of just fuel only to try to get some track position. Take a quick update of our weather here tonight. You see a track temperature's actually dropped 5 degrees. It was 99 degrees in qualifying. It's now down to 94. 78 degree ambient air temperature. That wind gusting up to 9 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour. It's definitely something to be mindful of here tonight. Checking back in with the front of this piece. The freight train now consists of James Lowe, Brandon Wilson, Chris Worrell, Marcus Adams, Jason Papp, Brad Peters, Joe Gautier, and Shane Posey. And you're almost 6 full seconds back to that second group of Chu, McConey, and DeBoer. And then you're another 9 seconds back to the third group being led by Zishan Dura in 12th, as that has dropped down to only 2 cars consisting of Zishan and Matt Swope. Right now at the front, though, Brandon Wilson being aggressive with James Lowe at the front of this piece. About a car length and a half separate Brandon Wilson and Chris Worrell. Everybody playing nice so far, as we're not quite yet at the halfway mark. This is looking to be about a 2-stop race here, as everybody last came down on around lap 30. So, depending on how much you can save, not sure what's going on with my graphics here. For some reason, that just completely went off the screen. Lowe bails out, goes to the top side. Doesn't want to play Fuel Pig anymore. He's going to let Brandon Wilson do that. He's going to slot in right behind Chris Worrell. In the rocking chair between Worrell and defending series champion Marcus Adams. Jason Papp, the 5th car in the line. Brad Peters, good run for him. Currently sitting in 6th. Joe Gautier and Shane Posey, the last 2 cars in this freight train of traffic. Working lap 35 of 90 here tonight from Talladega. Thank you so much for making us part of your Friday evening. Tony Trapasso up in the booth with you for Sim Racing Media. And again, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications. We've got a ton of racing coming up just this weekend. Doubleheader on Sunday, both at Vegas, kicking off at 4:50 Eastern Time with the ISNF Cup Series. And then 8:20 we go back to Vegas for the Sunday Night NASCAR Series. And then Monday night kicks off with the Elite ARCA Series from Milwaukee at 8:40. So a ton of racing left this week, as we're doing this 7 nights a week, folks. And you're going to have a special guest in the booth next week for the All-Star race, as unfortunately I'm going to be in Miami and not able to do this broadcast. So the man, the myth, the living legend himself, Mr. Baseball, Frank Marchese, is going to be stepping in for the role of broadcaster here next week on the channel, as I'm probably going to be elbow deep in my third beer. So be sure to show Frank some love next week. Brad Mashburn, sorry you couldn't make it tonight. Having internet issues, I see that. Sorry to hear that, bud. Brandon Wilson now shows the way. Chris Worrell, James Lowe, and Marcus Adams all up there with him. That second group has gotten organized. They're starting to chip away at the gap. What was 4.5, almost 5 seconds, is now down to just over 3.25. And of course, I am talking about the second group being led by Brian Chu, Greg McConey, and Ed DeBoer. And, you know, this is one of the things that we've heard talked about numerous times, is if you can get 3 cars hooked up together that know what they're doing in the draft, those 3 cars can chase down the lead pack. And that's what we're seeing right now, is now the gap to the back of Shane Posey, who's the caboose in that 7-car breakaway at the front of this piece. It's now down to just over 2.5 seconds. Brian Chu is in probably the safest hands he could possibly be in this situation. As Greg McConey, I said it before and I'll say it again, one of the best pushers in this league. You know you're in safe hands if you see that blue oval sitting behind you. And the name McConey is behind the wheel. And that does go for his brother Jeff, too. Two of the best Superspeedway hands I have ever seen. Greg and Jeff McConey. And if the name Jeff McConey rings a bell, it's because it's McConey Setup Shop. Starting to steadily chip away at that lead up in the front, but the front's starting to get a little anxious as Worrell jumps up to the top side as Wilson bailed out. Didn't want to be the lead dog anymore. Everybody taking their turn leading this freight train. Now it looks like it's going to be Jason Papp's turn as James Lowe bails out on the top shelf. Papp getting pushed by Brad Peters, and just like that, Jason Papp to the point. Guarantee that's going to make Miss Vicky happy. Papp, Peters, Gauthier, your top 3 right now. Posey there as well, with Marcus Adams rounding out your top 5 as these guys getting single filed out a little bit early. And the thing is, with all that shuffling that was going on, that 2 wide stuff, that's let that chase pack, they can see them now. They're almost within draft range. And they are going to have a good head of steam when they get to that lead group. Now down to just exactly 1 second is the separation between Brian Chu and Brandon Wilson, who's the caboose in that freight train in front of them. It's now down to under a second. They are feeling the pull from that group in front of them, and you can see it as we are going to go and show you just exactly what's going on with Brian Chu's car. 192 miles an hour going through turn 1. Watch that climb coming down the back chute as he's got the draft right now on Brandon Wilson. McConey not really pushing him right now as he's trying to get some clean air to his radiator. Still 194, 195, 196, 197 miles an hour before they haul it off into turn number 3. You compare that with Wilson. It's a couple mile an hour difference anyways. As Chu and company look to go to the outside, Chu gets a blast of fresh air and thinks better of it. As what was a 7-car breakaway is now an 11-car freight train. Jason Papp showing the way right now. We're going to go on board with Papp, as I was able to get a GoPro on his helmet before we went live. This is exactly what Jason is seeing. Everybody's starting to get single filed out as we are just past the halfway mark here at Talladega for round number 6 of the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway Series. Tony Trapasso at the booth with you tonight. Thank you so much for making Sim Racing Media a part of your Friday evening. Jason Papp, Brad Peters, Joe Gauthier, Shane Posey, your top 4 as we currently run. Posey and Gauthier, your front row sitters, currently back a little bit further than they'd really like to be right now. But still a ton of racing left here, as what was a 7-car breakaway is now an 11-car freight train, as we are getting ready to put lap 46 in the books. Jason Papp has been showing the way here for the last handful of laps. Papp, a super late model driver down in the greater Florida area, so you can catch him on a Saturday night driving dirt late models. I believe New Smyrna is where he calls his home track. Awesome facility. If you haven't been there in real life, you haven't been there in the iRacing servers, and you call yourself a racing fan, you owe yourself a trek to New Smyrna at least once in your life. Working lap 48 now of 90 And this front breakaway has really stepped out as they're starting to reel in this tail group here that's being led by Tim Henderson, Nick Wing, John LeBombard, Mark McFadden, all right there. As pit stop not doing as well for them as it has for the rest of the group. As for some reason those 4 cars not as organized as they probably should and could be. Just as I say that, they're starting to gain on Matt Swope in the 90 or in the 82 as Tim Henderson is the engine in this freight train right now, as they are now bringing that gap that was over 20 seconds now down to 19. The only problem is, and I'm going to take a look here from the back of McFadden's car, you're going to see the lead group as they go into turn number 3. That lead group is just coming out of 2. So that's not a good omen. As there is the lead pack being led by Jason Papp. Rocking GoPro on that car. Lovely paint scheme. And if you want a good paint scheme done for your car, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. You need to get a hold of this man right here. It is Greg McConey from Midwest Motor Customs. Did a lot of the paint schemes in this race here tonight. So just reach out to him on his Facebook, and if you got it going through your mind, he can get it on your car. Greg McConey, Midwest Motor Customs. One of the proud sponsors here in the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway Series. That is Brian Chu right in front of him out of Fort Myers, Florida. Running the Prayers for Florida Toyota here tonight. And Fort Myers, one of the hardest hit during that Category 5 that they had a couple weeks ago. Basically destroyed the pier in Fort Myers, which has been a mainstay for damn near 100 years. And that pier is now gone. So as that town starts to rebuild and refocus, thoughts and prayers going out to everybody there. Right in front of him is Brandon Wilson out of Doddridge, Arkansas, running for Black Rifle Coffee Company right now. And if you consider yourself a coffee fanatic, you owe it to yourself to try Black Rifle. They've got a lot of different blends over there on their website. So if you're a coffee person and you need a real good pick-me-up in the morning, military-owned, military veteran-owned Black Rifle Coffee Company. And then, of course, we've got Chris Worrell driving the Balls Guarana number 6 here tonight. And I've tried that Balls Guarana Ginger, and it's got a nice flavor to it. If you're a fan of ginger sodas, ginger ale, ginger beer, whatever you want to call it, if you're a fan of that, you owe it to yourself to try Balls Guarana Ginger. Of course, James Lowe being sponsored by our good friends at SimCube for all your peripheral needs for your sim racing rig. Marcus Adams being sponsored by diecastfans.net. Jason Papp, of course, running the GoPro Ace. We got Shane Posey, and let me see if I can figure out what's going on with Posey here. Not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Actually, this is what I wanted to do. And unfortunately, I can't see what's going on with his car, so let's see if we can get a different camera angle, shall we? Let's. There's Joe Gautier running the Amped Energy number 67, your race leader. As Posey, his partner right there in the Camry, having connection issues. That's never a good sign. And we're back with Posey. Coming through the tri-oval. And I still cannot read what's on that car. Sharp looking paint scheme, whatever it is. LaCroix? LaCroix? Looks like LaCroix. Not exactly sure what that is. If you know what it is, let us know in the live chat. Getting ready to put lap 54 in the books here at Talladega. Last time these guys were down pit road was around lap 30, so we're about a handful of laps away from seeing the next round of green flag pit stops. As Gautier and Posey, first two, they swapped places from where they started this race. As Posey started on the pole, Gautier got the outside front row. Jason Papp, currently your biggest mover in the positive direction at plus 14. And unfortunately, your biggest mover in the negative direction is that man who's the caboose in that little freight train. That is Michael Anthony. Back up towards the front here. Everybody kind of minding their P's and Q's, just riding right now. Seeing what you got, seeing how long it takes a run to get to the back bumper of the car in front of you. This is where you play the games. This is where you see what you've got for that last stint. As we are currently 35 to go this time by. Now we're 35 to go. So if they can hang in there for another, I'm going to say 6 to 7 laps, you're definitely within the you can make it from here range. And then you can, well, to quote Carroll Shelby, go like hell. Gautier, Posey, Papp, Adams, Lowe, Worrell, Wilson, Chu, McConey, DeBoer, your top 10. Brad Peters, the caboose in this freight train at the front of this piece. You see everybody within striking distance right now. Is Adams looks like he's backing up to try to get a run on Papp. Just kind of seeing how long it's going to take him to get up there. These guys are calculating that, trying in their heads they're calculating it, and trying to see how long it takes them to get that run to get up there. Gautier continues to show the way. Posey happy to use his best friend as a fuel pig right now. And in case you're wondering what I mean when I say that, the guy that's the lead car has his foot through the floorboard, trying to keep that car going at the speed that they're traveling. And the guy behind him can run a little bit slower, as we've got a couple bailing out to go pit side. That's Henderson, Wing, and LaBombard all going to the pits. McFadden there as well. And I stand corrected, it's not New Smyrna, it's Volusia that Jason runs at. Brad Mashburn checking in, saying, yep, about 30 laps on gas is about all you're going to expect out of these things. And checking in with the draft package. Yeah, Brad, you're not wrong. If you're checking in with the YouTube live chat, Brad Mashburn saying the drafting package on this car, not as favorable as it is on some other vehicles, but Brad, it's like that in the real world, too. I mean, nobody's really happy with the draft package on this car. As Swope, Dura, and Anthony all peel off to go pit side, I'd expect this lead group to stay out as long as they possibly could. And just as I say that, here comes Gautier and Posey. And hands the lead of the race over to that man in the 31. Getting shoved by James Lowe. They're going to take over the front two spots as Jason Papp has Chris Worrell right behind him. Now Marcus Adams, the engine of the freight train. Adams, Lowe, Papp, Worrell, Wilson, Chu, McConey, DeBoer, and Peters. 9-car breakaway here. As I would expect them within the next 2 to 3 laps to bring all 9 of those cars pit side. Now the question is, do you take tires? History would say no, you're taking fuel only, as here comes the back half of the field. McConey, Chu, Wilson, Peters, and DeBoer all bringing them pit side. Leaves a 4-car tango at the front of this piece, which is about to be a 5-car tango, as it looks like they are getting ready to pick up the Toyota on the top side. That is the 91 of Tim Henderson. A couple laps down, unfortunately. So Adams leading the way here. Lowe, Papp, and Worrell right there with him. Is Worrell pushing on Papp? And I would expect this group to come down this lap. Well, 2 of them are. Jason Papp and James Lowe, as Worrell and Adams stay out. Tim Henderson's already been down pit road. So the question is, what do you do? Looks like everybody so far has taken 4 in fuel. So the question remains, are Adam and Worrell gonna take fuel only to try to maintain some track position here, as both Lowe and Papp took 4 in fuel. Worrell coming this side, Adams coming this time. Both of them charged to the line, just barely getting it woed down before that yellow cone. Effective race lead right here. And as Brian Chu and company have a good head of steam, 190 miles an hour coming through turn 2, as they're going to get the draft and get the pull off those 2 cars coming out of the pit road, and they are just going to, okay, bye. Bye, Felicia. Adams and Worrell both taking 4 in fuel. It's kind of surprising that we've seen so many 4-tire stops here tonight at Talladega. Normally, you know, you only see a 2-tire stop or a no-tire stop here at the biggest of them all. As Worrell and Lowe hustle it out at turn number 2. Chu leads the freight train. McConey trying to get some clean air to the radiator of that Ford. And so one thing I don't like about the digital dash on this car, with the analog gauges, we could go on board to a GoPro on somebody's helmet and take a look and see how hot they were running. We can't do that with these digital dashes. It's no bueno. Right now, Worrell leading, Marcus Adams pushing him, and that second group is within drafting range. The gap is now under a second. Now the good news for Worrell and Adams, they do have a couple of lap cars in front of them. In the form of Mark McFadden, I believe that's John LeBombard. Yes, it is. They are the last 2 cars on the lead lap. Worrell and Adams pick them up and just use John LeBombard to punch the hole in the air for them. Kind of content to ride right now. Working lap 64 of 90. We're going to step away, pay a couple bills, and we'll be back right after this. And we are back at Talladega for round number 6 of the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway Series. Terrence Bass in the booth with you for Racing Media. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Friday evening. Chris Worrell shows the way, though he is the 4th car in line. The 3 in front of him are John LeBombard, Zishan Dura, and Mark McFadden. All 3, the last 3 cars being scored on the lead lap, right there in front of that lead pack. Worrell, Adams, Chu, McConey, Peters, Wilson, DeBoer, Lowe, Papp, Posey, and Gautier. Throw a blanket over your top 11 right now. As right in front of them, it's John LeBombard being scored in 13th, 14th for Zishan Dura, and 15th for Mark McFadden. Again, the last 3 cars on the lead lap. So that is less than ideal for those 3. But it is ideal for Chris Worrell, as he's able to use those 3 lap cars to punch the hole in the air so that he can try to conserve a little bit of fuel here. As we are 19 laps to go, everybody should have been through their money stop. The question is, can you save enough fuel to get you to the finish? And the other big question looming is, are we going to have to go into overtime again? Last couple of weeks have been pretty decent, as we have not had to go and use the overtime things. Bear with me a second, folks. There we go. Sorry, my live timing and scoring kind of hiccuped on me there. 18 laps to go. Worrell, Adams, and Chu right there in the front of this piece. Greg McConey, Brad Peters, and Brandon Wilson right behind them. They got Ed DeBoer for some help. Those 3 balls out cars are going to be tough to get around. Good head of steam down the back chute. 17 laps to go here at Talladega. Worrell getting the pull. 194 miles an hour before he hauled it off into turn number 3. Not quite what we were seeing last week. About 60 miles an hour slower on average than what the Indy cars were able to do. Again, the front 3 cars in this freight train are Zishan Dura, Mark McFadden, and John LeBombard. And it's Chris Worrell happy to just ride behind those guys, not having to use a ton of fuel up. Lets them punch the hole in the air as LeBombard goes up to get some cool air to his radiator. McFadden winner 2 weeks ago. Not having a time of it here in the next-gen car. As next week we will have the All-Star race, and I have not received word yet either way of what the car or what the track is. No points on the line, just bragging rights. And then in 2 weeks we'll be back at Daytona in the 87s. We got some special things on tap for that race, so be prepared. And get it, circle, be prepared. I'll just take my puns and go home then. Chris Worrell, Marcus Adams still at the front of this piece. 15 laps to go. It'll be 14 at the line. And we saw some amazing finishes the last couple of weeks. I would expect the same thing this week. We're probably going to see 4 wide at some point in the final 1 to 2 laps. Now, those of you who are familiar with Talladega, know that you can get away with 3 wide. But 4 wide, maybe. Well, depends on how heads up everybody is. Worrell, Adams, Chu, McConey, and Peters, your top 5 as they currently sit. Marcus Adams backing up a little bit off Chris Worrell. Looks like he's trying to save. Worrell trying to get up there with John LeBombard. "13 laps to go." And as Worrell continues to show the way, the pack behind him, though, has got me a little concerned. Marcus Adams backing up. Now starts to claw forward a little bit. Adams is lifting in the corners. Like legit coming off the throttle pedal. And I can't help but thinking, if you're trying to save that much, let somebody by you and just snake them. As we are 12 laps to go, Worrell continues to show the way. A couple more laps and he's going to clinch most laps led here. Worrell, Adams, Chu, McConey, Peters, your top 5. Brandon Wilson, Ed DeBoer, James Lowe, Jason Papp, and Shane Posey rounding out your top 10. Joe Gautier, last car in this lead freight train right here. And the last 3 cars on the lead lap. Well, you got Matt Swope, who's about half a lap behind this group. And then right in front of this lead group is Ishan Durham, Mark McFadden, and John LeBombard. The last 3 cars being scored on the lead lap. Nick Wing currently sitting 1 lap down in 16th. Michael Anthony currently sitting 2 laps down in 17th. Tim Henderson is 3 laps down, or getting ready to go 3 laps down. He's currently 2. And Brad Mashburn has put it on the hauler early due to connection issues. Bad break for Brad. Here we go. Something's starting to pick up here on the top side. As that is Posey, Gautier, and I have no idea who that 10 is, because I don't have a 10 listed. There's the 10, Nick Wing. One of your lap cars, unfortunately. As Posey takes over the lead again. Gautier right on his heels, as that's where those 2 guys started, 1 and 2. Chris Worrell sitting +7, your current biggest mover. Jason Papp back in 11th, currently +6. Brandon Wilson in 8th is +7. We are going to be 9 to go at the line. And everybody's tightened back up at the front of this piece. Worrell backing up to try to get a run on Gautier. So we are currently 9 to go. Posey and Gautier starting to pull a gap on that second group being led by Chris Worrell. Tim Henderson checking in. Yeah, unfortunately, Tim, no bueno for you either. Not sure what Chris Worrell's doing right now. And apparently Brian Chu doesn't like it either. So here we go. Brian Chu making a run on the top side. He's going to bring McConey with him. Nick Wing with them as well. So with 8 laps to go, they've got to make up 2.5 seconds as Posey and Gautier getting pulled around by the lap cars of Zishan Dura, Mark McFadden, and John LeBombard. This is your current battle for third. As Wing helping out his dude's teammate in the form of Greg McConey, currently running in fourth. McConey pushing the daylights out of Brian Chu's Toyota. And they've already brought that lap down by 1/4 of a second. They've got a ton of ground to make up, though, if they're going to catch that man in the 83, Shane Posey, as he and Gautier now go around the 3-lap cars and now put them between themselves and the hard-charging Brian Chu and company. Shane Posey, one of the veterans of the league from Osilia, Georgia, set pole tonight. Quick time, currently leads. His partner in crime, Cujo, Joe Gautier, in the 67, started second. Sits second. Brian Chu, who started third, currently runs in third. Although he's got 3 lap cars between himself and the leaders. Just I say that Ed DeBoer now leads a charge on the top side. The Cadillac, Michigan native trying to make something happen. Jeepers. Chris Worrell goes up to the top side with a charge with Marcus Adams. 3 wide down the back straightaway in the battle for third. And the fact that these guys are running 2 wide is costing them time. It is absolutely costing them time right now. As DeBoer drops down in front of Chu and company, the 3 lap cars bring him pit side because apparently they couldn't make it on fuel with 5 to go. Posey and Gautier currently showing the way. Just over 2 seconds to the good over this trailing pack. As DeBoer and Adams side by side. Make that DeBoer and Worrell side by side. Posey shows the way. There he is. He's got Joe Gautier in tow. And that lead pack is coming like a freight train right now, being led on the top side by Worrell, Adams, and Peters. Suffolk, Virginia native Chris Worrell showing the way. Three laps to go. Posey and Gautier in trouble. Here comes the freight train. Trains are coming, boys. You don't want to be on the tracks. Toot, toot. Nick Wing bails it out to go down pit. Posey and Gautier currently showing the way. Ed DeBoer trying to get up there. Greg McConey kind of just riding. Popsicle sticks in the air. 2 more laps to go. Just about 5 miles. Gautier and Posey as Worrell and Adams getting a good shove down on the top side. Posey and Gautier on the low lane. Gautier peels out to try to get a little clean air to the radiator of that Chevy. Worrell's Ford and Adams Ford making it happen on the top shelf. White flag in the air. Can they make it back? Yes, they are going to be racing back to checkers. White flag in the air. Worrell leads the top lane. Posey leads the bottom shelf. There's a little bit of juggling going on right now. And the question is, who's going to go where and who's going with whom? As they work around John LeBombard, the lap car. A little bit of an Indy snake issue there. LeBombard getting up and out of the way. Thank you, John. As Worrell and Adams locked bumper to bumper, coming through 3 and 4 for the final time tonight. Worrell shows the way. Adams going to try to make a move at the last minute. Adams peels out to the top side with the run. Adams and Worrell, they touch. Worrell goes around. Adams wins. Let's go back and take a look at what happened there. Just touched coming through the tri-oval. And Worrell just all over the place, trying to save it, finally locks it down. Wow, what a finish. There he is, your winner tonight. There he is, your winner tonight. Marcus Adams and the Diecast fans, or Diecast dot fans, I'm sorry. Number 31. So let's see if we can talk to him this time. Because unfortunately, he bailed out on us last week. As he burns them down on the front chute. Your winner tonight, round 6 at Talladega, the 2-time defending series champion, Marcus Adams. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Talk us through that last lap. And I mean, did you know you and Chris touched?
I'm pretty sure he came up on me, but yeah, I mean, I knew that.
Okay. But that was probably the latest move we've ever seen work here at Talladega. You waited till almost the middle of the trial before you peeled out.
Yeah, I was just gonna wait. I didn't want to push him too hard and wreck him, so I just tried to wait as long as I could.
Well, still, Marcus, again, punching your ticket into the playoffs. We didn't get to talk to you last week after the Indy race. Talk us through how that went for you.
It was a pretty good race. Just tried to stay out of trouble. Tried to time the run on the last lap at the right time, but it just didn't work. But Mike still won, so it was fine.
Still came home with a podium after going 4 wide across the stripe. But Marcus,
yeah, last week wasn't my best race. I didn't really do as good of a job as I usually do.
Well, it still wasn't too shabby, but of course, the 2-time defending series champion, you want to win them all. But Marcus, we're going to take a week off of the points racing next week as we go to the All-Star race. Have any word been given yet as to what the car and track combinations are going to be?
I have no clue what they're doing.
Fair enough. Marcus, we're going to let you go celebrate the victory with your team. Who do you need to thank tonight?
Circle B Diecast, Rowdy Energy, Midwest Motor Customs, iRacing Flag, and Buck.
All right. Marcus Adams, congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
And as I look for the rest of our top finishers, unfortunately we don't have Mr. Peters with us, but one of the men we do have with us, if I can find him.
4 cars behind me.
Is this man right here, Mr. Greg McConey, driver of the number 12. And Greg, all things considered, can't be too disappointed with a podium here at Michigan.
Michigan?
Why did I say Michigan?
You mean Talladega?
I'm sorry, I spent the entire weekend at Michigan.
No, I'll take P3. That was fun. I thought our race was done there when the 18, the 24, and I all got separated from that lead group by so much. I thought our night was over, but no. Brian and Ed DeBoer did a fantastic job. The three of us, after those pit stops when the leaders were all saving fuel, we were able to run them down from about 8 seconds back.
Well,
the three of us.
It goes to show you what you've said time and time again. 3 cars can be the fastest way around Talladega.
It can. It's very tough in these cars. These cars are so pack oriented. 2 cars is super quick for the short term, but if you're looking for long run speed, this is like a 4 to 5 car group. But no, this was a ton of fun. I loved tonight's race. Fuel mileage, kind of had a bit of everything.
Absolutely. But Greg, being as you are one of the admins for the iRacing East Superspeedway Series, and next week on the calendar is slated to be the All-Star Race, has there been any word yet on what the track and car combination is going to be?
There has. We are going to announce it right now, live on air. The race will be at Atlanta in the next-gen cars. 80% fuel, 4 sets of tires, 4 tire changes, I'm sorry. It'll be the fixed Atlanta set, and we are running 1 faster pair. This is a non-points race, so we want guys to go out and have some fun. But we're doing something different. With it being the All-Star race, we are doing 3 laps of qualifying.
Okay.
And it's taking the average of your 3 laps will be your qualifying position. From there, that will set the heat races, max of 20 car fields. So we'll have 2 heat races for sure. 25 laps. Cautions do not count. Everyone will advance to the main event. And from the main event, the top 10 drivers are getting inverted. It is an 80-lap feature. Yellows will count. So just going out, going to go have some fun. Sadly, Tony, I'm not going to be able to be there.
I won't be there either, because you and I are going to be drinking beer down in South Beach.
Hey, I'll take it, man. That'll be fun. We're going to the Homestead race. So anybody that's going to be at the Homestead race, look us up. We're going to have a bunch of Sim Racing Media guys there.
Well, now, I do know for a fact, Miss Vicky Copeland has said she is going to be there for that race. They're going to be in one of the campers. So we need to find her.
Yes, Vicky. We got to get something set. So we're going to meet up with Vicky. She's been in supporting this league for so long. I'd love to get down there and actually get to meet her.
Yes, absolutely.
After all that. No, so that'll be fun. Frank said he was going to hop in the booth.
Yep.
Dual
duty next week. Is he going to be race control and announcing?
Yes.
That poor guy. But and I'm glad it's going to be him on cams next week and not me, because live timing and scoring, the program that we use hates heat races.
Oh, you have to reset it after every heat race, don't we?
Pretty much.
That's no fun.
It's not a fun experience, especially when caution's not counting. It really doesn't know how to handle that. But Greg, again, congratulations on the podium here. That's going to help you in the point standings. You're currently safely in the playoff range. You haven't punched your ticket yet, but still some good tracks coming up for you, especially in 2 weeks as we go to Daytona in the 87s.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. Sadly, last time I got wrecked out, and the fast repair glitch kind of hurt me last time we ran the 87 cars. But no, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, haven't punched my ticket yet, but a third place finish here tonight really helps me out.
Absolutely. Who do you need to thank before we turn you loose?
First off, got to thank all our sponsors, Circle B, Diecast, Rowdy Energy, Midwest Motor Customs, iRacing, iFlag, Butt Kicker. I got to thank the sponsors that aren't on my card tonight, my personal ones, McConey Crafting and Design, my wife's company. Check them out at McConey Crafting.
Hey, holidays are coming, and for that little special something for that special someone in your life, you need to check out McConey Crafting. You can find them on their Facebook page.
Yep, you can find them there, or McConeyCraftingDesign.etsy.com. Go check my wife out, Sydney. Go check her out, shout her out. Tony, we're going to actually have shirts that she's making down at Homestead, so she's working on those this weekend.
I'm excited for that. I am very excited for that.
They look good from what I've seen. They look very good so far. Aside from that, got to shout out the family that I know is watching. Tony, you do a great job. Frank for being in the booth. The other one I got to shout out is Boffman Excavating, not on the car tonight, but Grandpa Paul's old company is a fun one that I love having on the car. But yeah, P3. I'll see you in Homestead next week, Tony.
Absolutely, sir. I'll see you Friday. So that is
Saturday. I'm there Saturday.
Yeah, I thought you were flying in Friday.
No, I fly in Thursday morning. I'm driving over there on Saturday morning.
Okay.
I'll be there bright and early. Don't you worry.
Okay. Just don't be the one don't be the one to wake me up.
Well, you better get up early then.
I usually come up swinging if somebody tries to wake me. Just ask my cat. She tried to wake me up this morning and went sailing across the room.
There you go.
As I shot up in bed and shocked. I don't think I've ever sat up that quickly before. But, Greg, we'll see you next week. Have a safe trip, and I'll see you in Florida.
Sounds good, buddy. I can't wait.
So that is going to do it for the interview portion. As I need to go back to... Aha! He is with us. Hiding from me. As...
Hey, how's it going, Tony?
Better late than never. Brad Peters joining me in the booth. Brad, all things considered, second place finish after coming out of turn number 4 in about 5th place. Can't be too disappointed with that one.
Yeah, for sure. I felt like I had a shot there when Chris got together with Marcus. Got to follow them in their draft the best I could there. Just can't quite work out, but still pretty good finish.
Absolutely. You know, Brad, you've had kind of an up and down season so far. This has definitely got to help your chances of getting into the championship playoffs, round of 12 anyways. But, you know, next week it just got announced we're going to stay in the next gen car, but we're going to Hotlanta for the All-Star race. What are your thoughts going into that non-points race next week?
It's definitely going to be wild. I feel like that's a pretty narrow track, especially on the travel there. I think it'll be a pretty good race. Hopefully we don't get wrecked or anything like that, but it should be a good one to watch.
Absolutely. But Brad, again, congratulations on the podium here tonight at Talladega. Who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate?
Just like to thank all of our partners of this league, Circle B Diecast, Rowdy Energy, iRacing, iFlag, Butt Kicker, and Midwest Motor Customs. Appreciate what they do for us.
Absolutely. And Brad, best of luck to you next week. Congratulations on the podium here at Dega.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to next week.
And that is going to put another one in the books, folks, as Marcus Adams, Brad Peters, Greg McConey coming home 1, 2, and 3. James Lowe and Chris Worrell rounding out your top 5 as Worrell came across the line backwards after making contact with Marcus Adams, racing for the win. Jason Papp coming home in 6th. Brian Chu, Ed DeBoer, Shane Posey, and Brandon Wilson, your top 10. Joe Gautier being scored as the last car on the lead lap in 11th. Matt Swope, Nick Wing, Zishan Dura, and Mark McFadden all coming home 1 lap down, your top 15. And then we go to 16th, John LeBombard, Michael Anthony, Tim Henderson, and Brad Mashburn. Brad having connection issues and unfortunately having to put it on the hauler early. That's going to do it for us tonight from Talladega. Be sure to join us this weekend as, there you see it there, the NASNF Cup Series and Sunday Night NASCAR both going to Vegas. 4:50 start for the 5:20 start for the ISNF Cup Series, and an 8:20 start for the Sunday Night NASCAR Series, and then we've got the Elite ARCA Series from Milwaukee at 8:40 on Monday. For the entirety of the Circle B Diecast Rowdy Energy Superspeedway Series, this is Tony Trapasso reminding you, ladies and gentlemen, that as you walk down the road of life this week, until we meet again, whatever you do, don't play in traffic. And if you guys are going to Homestead next week, be sure to swing by and say hi to Greg and myself, as we're going to be in the tailgating area prior to the race both days. So we'll see you then. Good night, everybody.